Ran for Congress, and Kevin Beckner and I walked neighborhoods in South St. Petersburg and Tampa to see what it was like to run for office. And we're in D.C. when she's getting sworn in, and he's telling me I'm going to run for county commissioner. I'm like, well, dude, my family came here in 1852. I think I can help you. So we made history in 2008, and he was elected to the Board of County Commissioners, and I was his chief of staff for nearly 2 years. And I have met some amazing people along the way, including this young lady to my left. Karen and I connected prior to Kevin running for office. I had it's going to be hard to believe that I would have a TV show. But I had a television show on public access. Actually, some of you were on my show back in the 05-06 window. And it just opened up a flood of what we can do better in this county. And it opened up, the idea of what if we had better people in elected office, right? what a novel idea. I'm a product of the Hillsborough County school system. My mother taught elementary school at Yates and Brandon for almost 20 years in the 70s and 80s. And, my belief about politics, what's going on in D.C. and what's going on in Tallahassee, yay. But local, city council, county commission, school board, that's really where the rubber meets the road and how our lives are affected, either good or bad. So Karen checks a lot of boxes for me. Karen is, first of all, she's reasonable. And we're living in very unreasonable times. And I just was like, Karen, I want to help you. So she checks boxes. She's thoughtful. She is inclusive. There's common sense as a part of her decision making. And I said, Karen, I'm going to throw an event for you, and we're gonna do our best to hit it out of the park, and you guys help do that today. But the other thing about Karen is that she's here, and I want you to hear about her campaign for re-election, and perhaps take some questions. And if anybody gets out of hand, there are gators in the pond. But please welcome Karen Perez. Karen, I have made a mistake, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I need to introduce a few people really quick. So, bad. So, Damaris Allen, right here, is running for a district seat that is closer into Tampa. How far down the coast do you go? Is it
Holly Beach, Ruskin, and then a little bit of
Okay, and Damaris had to leave, so I almost goofed up. Sorry about that. So I wanted to introduce Damaris. I'll be okay. Because I went to an event at Julie Jenkins' house a couple weeks ago, and I met this young lady, and I was like, holy cow, she needs to be on the school board. So make a mental note. I don't know if anybody wants a card or something. She has to slip out, but if you want a card, she can do that. Yeah, or you can leave them at the front, at the table if you want to. People can get them on the way. But hey, Damaris Allen, everybody. I'm really grateful to have former Tampa City Council woman Lisa Monteleone here. There are a couple candidates. Well, there is a former congressional candidate who may or may not have an announcement in the days or weeks ahead. But Alan Cohn is here, and Alan, I really appreciate it. And his wife is Patty Cohn, who kicks butt in this county for the Democratic Party and is a great leader of our organization. And then Eddie Geller, who is a candidate for Congress. Is it District 15, yes. Right? And who knows where that district is with everything that's going on with our stupid governor. But Eddie's one of your options. And I'm having a pre-senior moment. The gentleman who's in the back who can't get in, I'm having a hard time. Get on in here, young man. Come here behind. So, you want a quick beverage so that so anyway, I think I have introduce the electeds and the candidates and the leadership for the county party. Oh, I'm sorry. I really did want to. No. Yes. Oh, yes. So, I grew up in Brandon, okay, in the 60s and 70s. And, you're out here in Fishhawk. It is cracker country out here, okay, y'all? And I tell you what, we live in an amazingly diverse county. I believe this census showed us that we have a majority-minority population between our Black and Hispanic and other. If you are in the Hillsborough County school system, you know that, what is it, more than 25%? What's the percent of kids that speak English for a second language? Is it it's more than a quarter, right? Yeah, it's a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, we have a school board member. 48% of our students in our public schools speak English as a second language. Okay, and Hillsborough County, with the 1.5-ish million people that are here, is larger in size than the 7 smallest states of our country.
We are the 7th largest school district in the country.
So we have an incredibly diverse community. I lived in Tampa for 15 years before I moved here in 12, but part of what I just think is so great is our black and brown folks that live in this county are amazing people. And I'm happy to have some of my friends here who mean a lot to me, but this young lady right here, Yvette Lewis, she's been a pot banger and a head banger, and she is the current president of the NAACP for the Hillsborough County branch. And I'm really grateful. If I forgot anybody else, I'm sorry. Karen, it's your turn.
Thank you. I am so honored and humbled to have you here today on your Sunday. You know, it speaks to who you are and how, politics plays a role in your life. So I really thank you for being here. You know, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, concrete jungle, and
New York City.
New York City. And you know, one of the things that I was raised with, and it's in the fabric of my life, is the community service. So, you know, when I first met Mark, you know, it was with the community service piece. And when I was asked to run for school board the first time, they asked me on a Thursday night. And the qualifying, so the party came to me and said, hey, we need you to run for school board. I said, sure. I'm like, sure, no problem. And they're like, but the only thing is qualifying is tomorrow. And my response was, couldn't you guys have given me like a week's notice? Not 2 years ago, not a year ago, but a week's notice at least. So I, called, because I also work for the VA, so I called in sick, and I didn't say what I was sick and tired of, but I called in sick, and I went, and me and my, where's my treasurer? Where's my treasurer? He's up in front. We went running and did everything, and I qualified 3 minutes before qualifying. And ran for the seat. And me and Scott actually were opponents during that time. And since then we've become very, very good friends, along with Laura. But, representing the mental health of our children. And little did I know, just little did I know in 2018 that there was a pandemic coming around the corner. The percentages at that time, from 2010 to 2019, of our kids committing suicide, 5 years old to 12 years old, during that time was 1,235 kids that committed suicide between the age of 5 and 12. And then, between the age of 12 to 17, it was even higher. So for me, that was a concern. And I'm sure for Laura, as a school counselor, it was as well. So I was seeing the mental health of our youth, slowly on the uptick. And so I ran for the mental health of our children. I ran for the voice of a mental health provider on the board. And for the first time, Hillsborough County had the voice of a mental health provider on this board. And then the pandemic hit. Now, when I want to say post, but not really post-pandemic, we see the mental health of our children where it really is. We have a clearer picture of how bad the situation really, really has become. And then when we talk about the different, the LGBT, the Latino students, the Black students, the students that live in poverty, Hillsborough County has a 90% poverty rate here in Hillsborough County, and we're the size of Staten Island. the 7th largest district in the nation, and our poverty rate is that high. So when we're seeing, our children now being moved out of their homes because of the issue of no housing for them, affordable housing, it shouldn't even be affordable housing, it just should be housing. The other day I went on a ride-along with the Tampa PD, and we were trying to find a student from one of our Hillsborough County schools with the Tampa PD, and it was mentioned to us that the whole entire family is couch surfing. So that student represents several hundred of our students at this time. So the mental health of our students are at risk. Look what happened in Buffalo yesterday with an 18-year-old. When right now they're talking about that 18-year-old's mental health. The voice of mental health needs to be continued on this board. I have secured hundreds of thousands of dollars for the mental health of our students, and I want to continue doing that. From making sure that the Marjorie Stoneman funds were allocated correctly, to holding our superintendent's feet and his cabinet's feet to the fire. And I don't do it behind closed doors. I do it in the sunshine, so that people like you can see what our superintendent is doing, what is happening with the funding, and how these funds are being allocated or not. And for the first time, Hillsborough County Schools is in the black. For the first time in 12 years, our finances are in the black.
Yeah.
But we have to keep holding them accountable. We have to continue being forthcoming with them, making them transparent, and making them accountable for what they're doing with our funding, with your funding, because you're the taxpayers that bring the money to the table. So, I'm Karen Perez, and I want to continue doing the work of the people for our children who are our future.
I just want to say, as a community stakeholder, you show up. You don't, and then you don't just show up. You're involved, so it's not just FaceTime, because when shutdown happened, LGBTQ youth advocate, and when shutdown happened, I was immediately going to the district saying, what about these students that are going to end up falling through the cracks that we're not going to be able to find? And we were having meetings, and you were the only school board member that was in those meetings with us, having those conversations with us, and you continue to do that. So I want to thank you.
And okay, yeah, here's my other endorsement. Okay, so as a school counselor, just so you all are aware that this is not, and I'm going to kind of bring up numbers for a moment, is that in January and February of this year, my school alone did 12 to 15 suicide assessments, and we were not an anomaly in this district. So what I'm trying to say is that, that reality is there, the mental health need is there, and the fact that she is always willing to open up her doors and her voice and her cell phone and her ear when we're just going, I'm going, I'm done. But for counselors, we are over, very much have a caseload anywhere between 350 to 700 students. Ooh. And so when you're looking at any of us, is that we've got a lot of students, a lot of needs, a lot of mental health needs, and to know somebody's on the board that has the back not only of our families, but also has the back of the mental health providers in this actual school setting. You are the package. You do it quietly. You don't make this big fanfare of, look at me with all the press, you know what I mean? So I just want to add that piece as somebody who works in the schools, that her work is actually seen in the schools as well.
Thank you. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been licensed here in the state of Florida, and I'm also licensed in the state of New York. And I'm also a certified traumatologist and a certified forensics counselor. And I'm also certified, people probably think I'm certifiable. I'm a a certified domestic violence counselor, and, you know, something that I bring to the table for our children, especially in the neighborhoods that we deal with the transformation there work. And one of the things that I always say, you know, that with our schools that we're trying to uplift all the time, is that I'm always, you know, with my foot on the gas and the brake, because when the superintendent says, yeah, you know, these schools are doing fine, hold on, wait a minute. You know, I want to make sure, because that's not what I see. You know, or, you know, when he says we're going to be fixing some stuff, the foot is on the gas. Let's look at the transformation of schools and focus on them first, because those students are the ones that really need us. So I'm a voice always for our students in need. You know, with the when we had the computer issues, you know, during COVID, I always made sure that our students who had the lack of laptops were always the focal point. But, you know, I want to continue that work. I want to continue being a voice for those students.
And you served one 4-year term, correct?
Correct.
And you can serve another 4-year term in your countywide capacity,
I
correct?
could serve 3 more years.
3 more.
3 more terms.
3 more terms.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has that been massaged?
No, because since the law came into effect this time, so I started off.
At Tallahassee,
Correct.
they made adjustments for how long school board members can be school board
Correct.
members.
Right.
So you can serve a total of 4 terms in total.
Yeah, because it didn't come into effect until now.
Okay.
So I could serve
3 more terms. 3 more terms. Okay, wow, so that's 12 more years.
All right.
All right, well, let's get her 4 more years. And the way we're gonna do, Scott, go ahead. You got a question,
More of a statement.
Go.
That's okay. So, yeah, 4 years ago, I ran against Karen, and now I'm her biggest advocate.
So that says a
And-
lot right there. Doesn't it, everybody? That's
And
pretty amazing.
when you talk about Karen and you think about today's political climate and how Moms for Liberty and these right-wing AstroTurf groups are attacking school boards, a characteristic that I would say Karen has is that she meets divisiveness with gentleness. She is a true advocate for the children and always puts the children first when other school board members maybe don't do that. Now,
And we're not naming names here.
let me. I am the current president of the Democratic Public Education Caucus of Florida. So when I reference school board members, it's 67 different counties that we're looking at. I'm working with the Florida Pipeline Project, and Karen probably shouldn't know this, but what the heck. There are like 5 or 6 key school board races in the state of Florida, and Karen's name is at the top of that list. We have to hold on to this seat in Hillsborough because her opponent is not good. And this is, her seat is the front line of the battle that we're fighting. So I just wanted to share that information, and
That's good information to have.
Go ahead, Alan.
Hey, Mark, as Scott was just saying, there are no longer nonpartisan elections. Here in Hillsborough County, across Florida, across the country, incredible amounts of money are being poured in to defeat candidates like Karen. And it's really up to us to make sure that they don't get away with that. And one other thing that Karen mentioned that kind of hits home, saying that we're finally in the black in terms of our budget. For so many years here in Hillsborough County, we were saying to each other, where did the money go? One of the largest school systems and budgets in the entire country. Patty and I raised 2 kids in the Hillsborough County Public Schools. Our son had to take the SATs in an unair-conditioned classroom because the AC was broken. These are things that get down to how our kids learn, if they can learn. So, Karen, thank you and your colleagues for helping fix that problem. And that's why I'm here today. That's why we're all here today.
How many opponents do you have?
2.
So qualifying, it takes place
Right.
June 13th, the week of
Yeah.
June 13th and
Right.
17th.
Right.
So everybody that's on the ballot in any race is merely an unqualified candidate. During the week of qualifying in the state of Florida, beginning Monday, June 15th at noon, ending on Friday, June 17th at noon, that is when at 12:01 on the 17th, we will know who firmly the candidates are running for school board, county commission, state house, state senate, etc., Congress, I would assume, or somewhere close by then. So, so there are candidates, but they may not actually make it, onto the ballot. But we know you have two. So somebody is going to be on the ballot facing Karen in August. Her race is not in November. Her race is in the primary in August. So it's not just coming here and realizing you have a great option for that seat, but make sure you're telling your friends, people who are voting, that Karen Perez needs to be reelected. So, any other questions?
Anyone in
Karen?
Hillsborough?
Oh yeah, and she is countywide. So if you live in Hillsborough County and you're a registered voter, regardless of whether you're a D or an R or an I or whatever all the letters are now, she's going to be on your ballot. It's a nonpartisan, even though Alan, whoever said that not all races are nonpartisan anymore, and you're right about that. But it is a nonpartisan race. Karen.
Karen, I wanted to thank you for being an advocate for children. I'm a 44-year retired teacher, and I'm a professor now. But please don't forget, as you're talking about mental health, our teachers are equally, if mama doesn't have good mental health, the children don't have good mental health. And I can tell you right now, one of our, quote, better Brandon schools is losing 20 teachers. Wow. That's just one, because of all kinds of factors. Some of them are leaving the profession completely. And this, please continue working with the union. The union, I'm a great advocate for people standing up for their ability to serve. You can't serve if you're worried about food on the table, and there are a ton of teachers that are worried about survival. So this money balance, new programs, I'm sorry, in the 44 years I could play this game with you or anyone else on all our reading initiatives, all our special school initiatives. They cost money. It's the same story. That's not where it's at. It's getting what you're doing. Just please be a broken wheel. Don't let yourself get beaten down. To not keep saying, how is this best serving our teachers and our students, not just our students, but also our teachers. Thank
So
you.
I want to make a segue because my Brandon High School class of '79 classmate, Miss Donna Stewart, is on the other side of the screen, and she is a teacher you're at Newsom, right, Donna? Do you want to follow up to what Karen had to say there at all? I mean, you're welcome to come inside too, by the way.
At the last minute.
That's okay.
I didn't hear everything that Karen had to say. I'm sorry. My purpose in coming here today was twofold. Number one, to thank you, Karen, for advocating for teachers. I've been teaching for 38 and a half years. I'm still in the classroom. Thank you for advocating us during the mask debacle, because the school at which I teach has the most number of COVID cases in the entire district. And it was difficult policing that. And so I felt, was I safe? Being in the classroom with my mask on. My kids are still getting COVID, and I know that we are feeling a bit more comfortable without the mask, but there are two things that really impacted me this fall that assisted me. And number one was you're fighting for the mask situation. And then number two, the air conditioning actually works in my classroom. And there are filters, and I saw them being changed last week. And I know you had a hand in that. I don't know exactly everything that I'm sure you did tons more, but I wanted to come and thank you personally for that. And I don't know who was just speaking, the 40, is that you? Hi. teachers are still suffering and we're leaving the profession. I know we didn't go into it for financial reasons, but when there's no pay increase for 6 years, and this year I got a bonus thanking me, and that's taxed at 33%. So, it was very kind to get that, but, it doesn't keep up. I know no jobs are keeping up with inflation right now, but for the younger teachers who are lower on the scale, they're really struggling. And, I think the biggest thing that every school is dealing with is student behavior. And just after having the kids away online for a while, because I taught from my classroom, I taught children online and I taught children in my classroom simultaneously. That was a fun job. It was about an 80-hour-a-week job. Now it's a bit more manageable, but I really feel like and part of this is we have a new superintendent and there's a lot of adjustments that are being made there, but I really feel like we need to get back to classroom centered rather than program centered activities.
Exactly
And I really think that would help.
I'm glad you said that, because, with, him, you know, with money coming into the district, my voice has always been, you know, for the teachers. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we had a conversation, and I said, you know, I don't hear you. My problem, and I said it very loud, my problem is that I don't hear him saying that this money is going to be focused on the teachers. My problem, if you're gonna open programs, but we're already lacking teachers, who's gonna
Facebook and Twitter.
Who's gonna teach these programs? You know,
They set our classrooms next year for 40 students per
Yeah.
class. Currently we have 38
that's a
and
problem.
35.
Correct.
But, yeah.
So what he mentioned, and I really need you guys to hear this breakdown, because I'm a social worker, and you know, so in social work school, they teach us, you know, to look at the numbers, not so much at the conversation. So he mentioned that every teacher is going to get $4,000 more a year. So at $4,000, that equates to $333 a month. Now, when you break that down to every 2 weeks, that's $166 every 2 weeks. I have a problem with that. What can you do with $166 every 2 weeks, but after taxes?
When you're making $40,000 a year.
Thank you.
You've got to remember that. That's the average salary.
Correct.
So,
So, you know, and then for supportive staff is $2,000. So I'm gonna break that down too. So that comes up to $166 a month and $83 every 2 weeks. So, you know, he has to do, on my watch, he has to do better than that. Because I have a teacher here and I have staff here that I don't think these numbers are gonna jive on their paycheck.
I'm gonna hit the, go ahead, Lisa. And I'm gonna make this the last question, but she's not leaving, and the party is not over. I have homemade chocolate chip cookies and chocolate macaroons from my friend Judy Rossman. And that is the thank you for staying until the end bonus that you're gonna get these cookies, and they're amazing. So, Lisa, your question.
Well, I have a follow-up with the money question, because, I need talking points, and probably we all need talking points with the sales tax, the school tax that's going to be on the
What's a
ballot.
better way to call it? What is?
So, yeah, like what, Facebook, and there's and I have friends, other county commissioner aides who go on there and like explain that what they're saying isn't right, in Seminole Heights, you don't have to pay for a trolley tax because you don't live in the trolley district, but it doesn't matter to people. They hear things and they just say things, and what they say doesn't, necessarily equate to truth. So what are talking points that we can use with the referendum that's going to be on the ballot for additional school tax?
You got three. You got three of them. You got three talking points for the referendum.
So, that we needed to go to teachers, you know, not, the programs is not, it's not good. You know, the third is, you know, to make sure that, well, the teachers are on board with this, I have no idea, you know.
I mean,
This
for-
stuff- yeah, the teachers are on board with this. And, you know, so, talk to a teacher.
Talk to an educator
Yeah,
if you have questions about what they feel or what they're seeing, but I think that we are not getting the money from the states, the money has to come from somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
And how many teachers, and I don't remember the last number, but 300 sticks in my mind, that we ended the year without, that we don't have enough
Correct.
teachers. So it is gonna affect your child and the good of society.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right
But
now,
people
it's
are always asking, where is that money going? So you put a referendum on the ballot. You, potentially, if it gets approved, raise whatever tax it is. I think it was Amanda Brown who worked out the numbers, and it was like $35 for a homeowner of a, you know, average home. It's like $35 a month, is what it worked out to. And on a $250,000 home, I think is the number she used. But anyway, so you raise this money through the tax, hypothetically.
You could
What
call
is
it
it gonna be
child
used for?
educational enhancements. Child
Yeah,
educational enhancements.
yeah, people don't, they're like, where is it going?
Just,
I wanna know where it's
just make sure
going.
there's going to our teachers and our staff.
It's simple to say we have a teacher shortage.
Yeah,
And if
there you
you
go.
want
Yeah.